SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
This is Gerard Gibert, and thank you for listening to MidDays here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Midday SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm your host, Gerard Gibert, along with Rhino in the Element Wealth Studio, guiding you through the middle of your day with facts, fodder, and fine music on this hump day. All right, it got a little cooler out there, a little brisk wind blowing from the northwest, making that walk from the parking lot up through the breezeway. I guess a little more to feel to the touch there.
It's nice.
Yeah, I know. But I see you still are adorning your shorts as if we're in the middle of July.
Yeah, we don't have a 3 on the temperature yet, on the front of the temperature. So, yeah, it's still short season.
Well, you would fit right in like Minnesota or something, right? The frozen tundra.
I mean, I'm not crazy and I'm not some strange, abnormal human. If I had an outdoor job, I would be wearing probably a couple of layers so that I could layer off, layer on, layer off, layer on, regulate temperature. But I'm sitting in probably the warmest room outside of maybe the cage, but they keep that super air conditioned. There's only one vent in here to air condition it with this rack of computers. So
yeah.
This is a warm room,
Yep.
and I'm in it for a large chunk of the day, so I can get away with shorts.
Okay.
I'll walk back and forth to the parking lot. That just wakes you up a bit.
Okay, sold. Speaking of weather, what about Jamaica? Man, that thing was unbelievable. Melissa, that swept through the island nation of Jamaica. Many parts of the island hit extremely hard. Man, the photos, unbelievable. Still don't know the true extent. Power and phones virtually non-existent across the entire country. Much of it isolated. So we're getting sort of spotty reports. 3/4 of the country, no electricity overnight, while the number of people injured or dead, they haven't even started to count that or provide any data related to fatalities. Many parts of the western side are underwater, homes destroyed. That storm was impressive. The satellite images.
Yeah, it looked like a buzzsaw.
Wow, just incredible. Wind and rain lashed through the island. What were the speed, the wind speeds? 130, 140 miles an hour.
I want to say
when it hit the land, right?
There was a record broken by the hurricane hunters because they had a wild ride yesterday and eventually had to come back to base and service the airplane because it had gone through 700 meters of vertical change in a minute of turbulence.
Wow.
But I want to say it was 252 mile per hour gusts at the surface broke the record for the highest wind recorded with a drop, whatever they call it.
Yeah, the pressure drop. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, they've got different drops for different things, I believe, or maybe some of them are integrated. But, yeah, it was – I forget. I remember reading it, and I was like 252.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a perfectly formed, circular, symmetric, right, round eye. that does indicate extremely strong winds and just a well-formed storm, and that's what we had. And it's gigantic as well, but it lashed the shores of Jamaica overnight. One person said, "There's water coming in from the roof of my house. I am not okay." Again, no fatalities confirmed at this point. Interviews with other residents describing the night as stressful and intense, heavy wind and rain. An MP in western Jamaica told some of the journalists there that it resembled the scene of an apocalypse movie. So not good stuff. Thoughts and prayers for the people of Jamaica. Hopefully, once the damage is assessed, we learn that there are hopefully no fatalities. But, man, you've got to believe that a storm of that force, with those winds and then the rains as well, torrential rains, that once they start digging, not going to like what we hear. Man, oh, man. Good news for the soybean farmers and the soybean industry in the U.S. China has bought 3 cargoes. This is ahead of the president's meeting with President Xi Jinping, who the president says he has a great relationship with. And this is good news. Now, you know, you got to sort of be skeptical and always be vigilant, because I don't trust communists. I know that's kind of out there maybe, but the state-owned COFCO, as it is called, COFCO, they have purchased 3 U.S. soybean cargoes this week. That, according to trade sources, that's the first purchases of American soybeans this year. And our soybean farmers are incredibly productive and experiencing record yields and produce more than we can consume, honestly. And we need foreign markets to take up some of the slack, because we can't consume everything in this country that they produce, which is really amazing, Rhino, when you think about it, because it was a short, 50, 60 years ago, we struggled to produce sufficient product from our farms for domestic consumption. Maybe it's a little longer than that.
Farther back than that.
30s, 40s, perhaps, yeah. But now, to a great extent, the result of improvements in farming techniques and technology. And I know
wasn't part of the push for growing soybeans was because there are gains to be made in foreign markets?
Yes, and
because, soybean production for American consumption was relatively low until 30 years ago?
And China's the biggest importer on the planet of soybeans, but they have been shunning those from the U.S. harvest because of this trade spat that we're having, switching their purchases to South American suppliers. Now, I think, have we not interviewed some folks that have told us what we need are more applications and uses, right, of soybeans? Because we're producing a bunch, and we need more ways to use
the
end product
uses
there.
For it, like making tofu.
Yeah.
Not a huge market in America for tofu.
Right, and then oil, right, as well. So this is cost the American farmers billions of dollars in lost sales, and that hits home because we have a thriving in terms of the yield soybean industry here in the state of Mississippi, but we need customers. So hopefully this does provide a little relief for our farmers here in Mississippi. Now, I know we've talked a lot on this program about artificial intelligence and data centers, and there are a myriad of concerns about that. But let's consider this. One of the reasons our farmers are so productive and honestly are able to operate their businesses, certainly with fewer staff than they once had and with so much greater efficiency, it's because of artificial intelligence. if you look at the companies that make all the various products and the inputs that are used by farmers, many of them powered by artificial intelligence. You remember, Rhino, a couple of years ago when we interviewed the good folks at Ag Up, the big John Deere retailer here in the state of Mississippi, and they were talking about these new implements, these new tractors that John Deere had created that are equipped with all sorts of AI-powered features, including the ability to very precisely identify whether or not that's a good product or a good plant or a bad plant, so to speak, and treat it accordingly with great precision, right? All that's driven by AI. I've said many times, John Deere is really a technology company that happens to make tractors. They saw that was the future, so...
But, I mean, there's technology of the same sort all throughout the chain.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like once it gets to the company that's going to sort and wash and then package, there are little hammers and flippers that, I know it's tomatoes. I saw the video. The tomatoes dropping down, and they had to slow it down so you could see the flippers.
Yeah, even in catfish, the way those fingerlings, I think as they call them, are separated. We're coming right back. We got Caleb Sailors, SuperTalk Mississippi News, with a TPUSA event tonight in Oxford at Ole Miss at the Pavilion.
Hey, listen to...
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert, here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
We're back with you in the Element Well studio. We appreciate you being with us today. It is October the 29th. That means Turning Point USA on schedule will be in Oxford this evening at the Pavilion on the campus of Ole Miss. And scheduled to be in attendance, of course, Vice President J.D. Vance and the widow of the late, great Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk. But our man Caleb Sailors, he's up there, right, Caleb?
Yeah, I'm here, Gerard. I'm actually right in front of the student union at Ole Miss, standing right next to the arch, Walk of Champions arch, where people are familiar with in the Grove. It's weird though, Gerard. It's cold, it's rainy, it's kind of quiet. Students seem half awake right now. They're either heading to or from class. No one's really wanting to talk right this second. And it's also odd being in this area and seeing it bare without tents. Of course, Saturday that'll be different.
Yeah. So, the weather's a concern. I looked at the forecast. There's a 100% chance of rain for most of the afternoon and a bit on the chilly side as well. But everything kicks off, 6 o'clock tonight? Is that right?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. They'll open the gates at 3 and then it opens at 5. And they're expecting a full crowd. And in fact, they're expecting it to be probably beyond capacity. So they're going to have to turn people away tonight.
Jeez.
And there's media from everywhere, from other countries, from England, France, I think someone from Spain, you name it.
Wow.
And they're going to have us packed in like sardines tonight, too. It's a lot of enthusiasm about this event. I know one of the TPUSA organizers here at Ole Miss was saying they expect this to be their biggest event thus far as part of This is the Turning Point tour. So expecting big things tonight. Of course, it's always a big deal to have the vice president on campus, and I'm not sure if this is his first time to ever be on the Ole Miss campus, so it'd be something cool if he mentions that tonight.
Okay. Well, it's a big deal, of course. I would have to say that I think there was massive enthusiasm for Turning Point USA coming to Ole Miss when it was announced, but, of course, the horrific in broad daylight assassination of Charlie Kirk, I think certainly has prompted even greater interest and inspired lots of people across the country to get to be part of this movement. Ole Miss no exception. And then when vice president says, I think I'm going to join and travel to Oxford, I mean, that's just really put the icing on the cake, as the saying goes, and I think that's why we're going to have record crowds.
Yeah, and I do, and of course, campus is sleepy right now. It's still the morning time. I see there's food trucks all over campus. I see there's loaded tea and coffee trucks as well, and I've seen a lot of students getting their loaded teas and their coffees. I think they're getting amped up to either go to the event, but there's also going to be a counter event tonight here at the Student Union. One of the professors on campus and a Tennessee lawmaker are going to be holding a counter protest per se, but counter event, basically contrary to what Turning Point USA espouses and the views and viewpoints that they express there. So we'll have people probably heading onto the other side of campus for an event that's going to be completely different than the TPUSA one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there are students. I mean, there are students here at Ole Miss that, not everybody thinks the same way. Not everybody believes the same way. Not everybody's Democrat or Republican. And there are people who, are uncomfortable. I've seen posts on social media. I've heard some chatter among students out here that there are people uncomfortable with TPUSA coming to campus today. There are people who don't believe in Charlie Kirk's message or don't even respect Charlie Kirk's message that are here, students at Ole Miss. But then there are some that are, very excited. I'm sure this crowd tonight at this event is going to be incredible. But I wouldn't be shocked if there are a lot of people at the Student Union as well for the counter event.
Interesting.
That's being pushed by the Mississippi Democratic Party, et cetera.
Okay, so the counter event is at the Union. Where you are,
at the Union,
right?
Yeah. Yes, where I am right now. The Gertrude C. Ford Ole Miss Student Union.
That's right.
Got tongue twisted there a little bit, Gerard. But that's where the counter, and it'll be occurring at the same exact time. As the TPUSA event. And I'm not sure where specifically at the Union this will be. I'm sure it'll be outside, and I don't know if it'll be streamed anywhere or not. I know TPUSA event will be streamed on its website, and I'm sure we'll be streaming it as well.
Okay. Good luck to them. So have you been able to talk to anybody, Caleb, on campus, any of the students, to get their thoughts and feelings about tonight's event?
Gerard, I've tried to talk to some, and they've just been standoffish. I got to get to class. I got to get to class. And I mean, I've even tried to bait some with football. Man, where do you think Lane Kiffin's staying at Ole Miss? Do you think he's going to Florida or LSU? Or, hey, man, how about Trinidad Chambliss? Now, I mean, nobody's wanting to talk at all right now. It's gloomy. It's dark. The sun started poking out a little bit a minute ago, but it's gone back into hiding, and everybody seems a little glim right now. And so hopefully, as the day progresses, we can get some students and get talking to them, because I really do want to get to a feel for how the student population as a whole, how they feel about this event, what they're thinking, what their mindset is. If they're going to go to the Turning Point USA event, if they're going to go to the counter event, or if they're just going to go home, play video games, and wait for Saturday to go to the Grove.
Wow. All right, so then what's your plan for the duration of the day? This thing kicks off later on this afternoon. What'd you say, 5:30?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
So for me, the media will get set up we can get set up at 3 o'clock, so I'll probably head over there as soon as possible, because they're expecting a large media contingency there as well. And so I definitely want to get my foot in the door quicker, sooner than later. But in the meantime, Gerard, I'm going to be out here on campus trying to talk to students, faculty, anybody that wants to talk to me. I am here on the Ole Miss for our radio audience. Anybody that's listening right now, anybody in the Oxford area, I'm on campus. I'm easy to find. I'm wearing SuperTalk gear, and I will talk to anybody, and I want to hear your thoughts. If you are a big fan of this event, I want to talk to you. If you hate this event, I want to talk to you. If you support Turning Point or against it, I want to talk to you. We're SuperTalk, right? We got to talk to people.
Well, you might consider trying to run down the local TPUSA chapter, or the Ole Miss chapter, right? The officers. I wonder if you could find them somehow and speak to them. They're integrally involved in this event. I make a recommendation to you. You're not far. Walk over to the Patterson School of Accountancy, which is, of course, in Connor Hall, and go find my good friend, Professor Vicki Dickinson. She's involved with the TPUSA chapter there. And talk to her. She's the one that was also involved in getting Breland Hollyhan to campus about a month ago. Remember that event in the Union there, the TP affiliated with the TPUSA. So go talk to her. She's probably listening right now.
Well, I will head over there and I'll talk to her, and hopefully she has students I can talk to as well. I'll talk to anybody, Gerard. I'm eager to have a conversation with people today.
Well, you're not far. Walk over. I'm serious. Go walk over to Connor Hall. I think her office is on floor 2 there, and you could find her in the directory and introduce yourself. She knows me, and drop my name there and see if she'll talk to you and see if there's some students that would be willing to speak to you. You might find those more willing to over there in my alma mater, the Patterson School of Accountancy. That'd be pretty neat, though.
Right.
We'd like to hear them. It would be great as if you could get either her or them or somebody that you're talking to standing with when we talk to you again in about an hour at 11:35. That'd be really good if that's possible.
Well,
kind of neat.
I guess I'm the horse, and I guess you led me to the water, so I need to go drink some of that water.
Pretty neat. But, I mean, this is a big deal. We got the Vice President of the United States coming to Oxford on the Ole Miss campus. This is a big
and I
dang
will tell
deal.
You, Gerard, there is a ton of security on this campus.
Sure.
So if you're thinking about doing anything foolish, don't do it on the Ole Miss campus because there is an influx of security. They've already got gates set up around the pavilion. And I posted some pictures on my X account at Caleb Sailors ST, so you can follow along there. I'll be posting updates throughout the day. And, and they're moving traffic around. They're blocking off certain parking spots. I mean, they're taking this very seriously. Obviously, Secret Service is here to protect the vice president. And, so very, very heavily secured here at Ole Miss. Of course, Ole Miss is a safe campus anyway. It's known as, the safest campus in the SEC, so it's not like anything bad normally happens here anyway. But, all hands are on deck to make sure this place is as safe and secure and as, seamless as possible for this event tonight.
I just knocked on some wood when you said that, by the way. So,
yeah.
Oh, man. So I was there yesterday. Caleb, I took off. I annually am invited to speak by Professor Ron Richlack in the law school. Ron, of course, has been on the show sometimes. He has a gaming law class. He actually has a background as a lawyer at one time in the gaming industry. And he has me come in and present the Mississippi Lottery Corporation, being on the board there. And he and I were going to eat on campus. I can't remember the name of the little restaurant there on Sorority Row in one of the old sorority houses. And he recommended going elsewhere this time because of traffic for tomorrow. And that turned out to be the right decision. It was crazy yesterday. But all right, we got to go, but we're going to check in with you later at 11:35. Head on over there and see if you can find Professor Dickinson. I'm going to text her and tell her you're looking.
Yeah, absolutely. I will, and I'm looking forward to talking.
Sounds good. Caleb Sailors, everyone. Coming right back.
From the Seabrook Dock. You're listening to Middays with Gerard here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Standing in the rain with his head hung low. Couldn't get a ticket. It was a sold-out show. Heard the roar of the crowd. He could picture the scene. Put his ear to the wall. Then like a distant scream, he heard one guitar.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. Little foreigner on the C Spire text line. Is the clear bag policy in effect for the Kirk event tonight at Ole Miss? It's a no bag policy. I did receive email confirming my attendance tonight, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up here, but it's pretty clear you can't bring anything in. So,
not even the umbrella you're using to protect yourself from the rain as you're getting into it.
That is correct. That is what I've been told. And so that is a bit of a problem, but we'll just have to deal with it. I'm looking at I'm trying to find the official email because it actually landed in my inbox overnight. Sort of here we go. 2:44 a.m. I thought it was 3:40. I told Rhino early. 2:44. And let's see here. The doors open at 3. Students and VIPs are let in first, followed by general admission attendees. I say no general admission attendees are getting in. Must show proper identification matching their ticket before being admitted. Let's see here. No bag. This is a no bag event. No bags of any kind are allowed. In addition, Don't bring the following in. I'm skipping over some of the language there. They will not be permitted in the building. Aerosols, ammunition, animals other than service guide animals, backpacks and bags, balloons, bicycles, coolers, costume masks, drones, and other unmanned aircraft systems, explosives, firearms, flammable liquids, glass, thermal or metal containers, laser pointers, knives, mace, pepper spray, packages, rangefinders, recreational motorized mobility devices, selfie sticks, signs and posters, structures, toy guns, tripods, weapons of any kind, and any other items determined to be a potential safety hazard. And, of course, that long list is prefaced with prohibited items include, but are not limited to. In other words, it's really at their discretion. I mean, they're making it explicitly clear in this communication, but if they left something out of the list and you want to bring it in,
if your boots are too pointy,
that's right. You ain't probably getting in. All right, so we're just getting some breaking news about the hurricane. Check me out. It looks like 24 deceased is what I'm seeing that have been accounted for thus far. 24. Man, sorry to hear that. But not surprised. The government is still shut down. Day 29, again, it's easy to determine what day it is because it started on the 1st of October.
Yeah, it looks like the report of 25 dead is in Haiti.
Okay.
Currently, still no reports out of Jamaica.
Gotcha. So we had we're in the 5th week of the shutdown, another vote yesterday. That's number 13, right, Rhino? And it failed in the U.S. Senate.
I think it's 13.
13. It's crazy to keep up with all this. Remember, Leader Thune said senators would vote for the 14th. Tomorrow, 14th time, tomorrow. Nothing is really moving on this deal except the SNAP Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. There are 42 million Americans enrolled in that receive benefits. They ain't going to get them come November 1st when they're scheduled to go out, and that is causing some problems. I've also noted that some congressional staffers who are not getting paid, they're bolting. You may have seen that. And so that's starting to become...
But Congress is getting paid.
Congress is getting paid. And honestly, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually in accordance with the Constitution. It's not even law, statute. There's some constitutional provision, as I recall, that dictates they get paid. I think there are many who would say they would be willing to accept no pay, and I think there's been some move in the halls of the Capitol to actually either amend the Constitution. I think it's constitutional. That's a big old hurdle to cross, to change. I think it's beyond just mere statute. Check me out on that. I could have misread it. It's been about a month when I dug into that because I was too curious as to whether or not the members of Congress would continue to receive their pay during a shutdown. It seems a bit perverted, I would agree. But we're on day 29.
Like all legalese, I feel like this could be open to interpretation.
Of course.
It's in Article 1, Section 6, Clause 1.
Okay.
The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out by the Treasury of the United States.
Okay. So it means, well, which you could change law to say the pay is $1 or something like that, right? You're still getting paid because the key point there is paid.
Right.
You can't just discontinue the pay. You got to pay. But they could, in fact, right? They could pass legislation today if they had the cojones to do so that reduce their pay. Hell, make it a penny a year.
I think the lawyers would stick it at $1.
Okay, make it $1. I could live with that.
I'm basing that solely on the fact that every time you see a lawyer and a shady lawyer in a movie or TV show take up a case, it's always, hey, give me $1. It's like that's the lowest amount they'll acknowledge as legal.
Yeah, and there's lots of legal contracts that involve some sort of remuneration to make it legal, and it's $1. I want to say that when I was in school at the university, we had a lease. Our fraternity house did. It's like $1 for 99 years or something crazy like that. All the sororities and fraternities that had property on campus had such an arrangement. On the C Spire text line, can TPUSA attendees wear clothing? I'm glad they are taking security seriously.
Depends on what clothing it is. If it's Madonna's favorite pointy bra, I don't think they would let you in.
What about the pink liberal hats? What about those? Can you wear those? You'd be stupid.
I don't know that they would consider a ugly beanie a security concern. It's a crime against fashion.
Exactly. That's Danette in Carroll County. Yeah, that's appreciated. And, it should be. I have no problem with the security measures whatsoever. On the C Spire text line, Charles in Summerall says, I agree they shouldn't be paid, but that would make the vote personal, and some would give in to demands on the other side just so they could get a paycheck. Well, sure, I get it, but I think most people would, just looking at it from strictly a reasonableness and a fairness perspective, it's not fair that the members of our military are suffering. There are reports now that the
I don't
folks
know that there are that many people in Congress, though, that are worried about their paycheck more than they're worried about their reelection bid.
I would agree with that. They're addicted to the drug of politics, and though I have many good friends in Congress, they know my feeling about that, and the legislature here and in statewide elected, just politics in general. It's become addictive. That's why they stay there so dang long. And honestly, to your point, it ain't the money. I don't really think it's the money. It's the trappings. It's the spoils. It's the attention. And back when we didn't have all these means of projecting attention, I don't know that it was that addictive. It's become more addictive because it's instant. Everybody's video and photographs and this thing called the Internet's kind of changed that game, whereas
I think that all kind of started with the first Iraq War and O.J. Simpson with the 24-hour news cycle. That's when that snowball started going downhill. Now it's just this Titanic-sized snowball that's just unwieldy and gross.
No, I agree. It kind of feels that way. I totally agree with you on that. But it's that's what they covet the most is the next election cycle. And that's what is, I think, driving the shutdown. And both sides are playing the odds. Right now, most polls show that it's an interesting dichotomy. Polls show that Democrats are more likely to be blamed for the shutdown. I think that's logical because all the Republicans, save one in the Senate, vote for funding. But only 3 Democrats. So naturally, they look like the ones that are intransigent and obstructing and preventing government, just based on those numbers. But on the other hand, polls show that keeping those enhanced subsidies is wildly popular, which is the crux of the shutdown argument, including in deep red states who participate more in the exchanges as a percentage of their population than do the blue states. Turns out Republican voters, they like the government largesse as well. Something else before we go, this continuing resolution only funds the government until November 21st. Rinse, right? Wash, rinse, repeat. Do it over again in 3 weeks. Coming right back.
I'm here with David.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's do this.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Let's go.
So I'm also seeing reports from the media. You may have seen this, Rhino, that our members of the U.S. Air Force at Keesler that are standing in the lines to get food as well. That's being reported. I think some of the local media in the coastal region have been sharing that. That's interesting. The president says that he may actually extend his efforts to curb the rash of crime in America's cities beyond just mobilizing and deploying the National Guard to actually deploying the regular military into American cities. Not sure what I think about that. Do you think that's a problem? That's being reported by numerous national news outlets that apparently he said something the other day to that effect. I don't know. Seems like there would be some even stronger. He said, quote, "I'm prepared to send more than the National Guard." This is the way he described it. And this is when he was speaking aboard.
Well, technically, they're already doing that.
Regular military is being deployed?
No, but more than the National Guard could also include FBI, CIA,
okay.
DEA,
Yeah.
I mean, there are teams from all federal agencies all over the place. And in many of the cities where the National Guard's been sent in, they were sent in first to basically figure out where the people that were going to get arrested and picked up were.
Yeah.
A timeline of what they do for the week, and all right, we can snag them here or here or here. Here's the plan.
Yeah. He said, we have cities that are troubled. We can't have cities that are troubled, and we're sending in our National Guard. And if we need more than the National Guard, we'll send more than the National Guard because we're going to have safe cities. So, look, he's called attention to it where the Democrats just look the other way because they're all worried about making sure all the statistics fit into their little narrative, showing that those who are actually involved in the commission of these crimes didn't skew those stats in a way that looks like it doesn't achieve their goals of equity. Seriously. And that's literally the way they look at it. It's not a matter of did they commit the crime or not. It's a matter of, wait, now, what's the race, the ethnicity, the gender, the other physical attributes of the subject? Oh, well, it's not a white male. Okay, yeah, let him go. It feels like that's what's been going on. Am I exaggerating there? It sure feels like that there's been deference in that respect.
No, that's certainly the way it seems, and they haven't done anything to attempt even to make it not seem that way.
And that's what concerns me. Now, earlier on the C Spire text line, by the way, we were talking about just the issue for our farmers. Donald in Oxford says, we export 75% of soybeans and cotton. We consume over 80% of the corn we produce. And this was as a result of news I shared earlier that China has bought 3 cargo loads, I think 180,000 tons, if I'm not mistaken, of soybeans from America, which is good news because they hadn't bought a bean this year. And that's because of the trade spat and the trade conflict, but the president over there trying to work through that, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, announcing earlier in the week, quote, a framework for a trade deal with China. It looks like this is kind of a good faith effort on the part of the CCP. Yeah, we're telling you, we're going to buy your beans, and just to show you that we're serious, we're going to go ahead and make a purchase here. So that's good news. But yeah, Donald, to your point, I remember catching a report a couple of weeks ago about the struggles economically of our corn farmers. They're all losing money. And that's a huge problem in this country. And it's, to Donald's point, we consume over 80% of that which we produce. But all the various farm reports that I see indicate that the price at which they're selling that corn is not economically viable Surveys of over 1,000 farmers conducted by the Farm Journal between August and September, nearly half indicated they believe this country is on the brink of a farm crisis. 80% of those who participated in the survey said they believe the farm economy may be or is on the brink of a farm crisis. 65% said they're concerned about their financials more than they were a short year ago. So this is just an issue where our farmers are just phenomenal, and they're producing more than we can consume, honestly. And it is a product. Their products, their yields are traded in an open commodities market. It's a pure form of market supply and demand dynamics. So that's what's going on. Meanwhile, in the technology industry, before we go here to Fox News and SuperTalk News, Microsoft announces after the bell, expect a blowout quarter. More on that later on in the show. Coming right back.
Of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
And now, another hour of the talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Begin your transition now.
Now on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 2 of Middays. We're in the Element Wealth studio on this
Hump Day.
We're pleased to welcome now Reed Abraham, State Fire Coordinator, Fire Services Division with the Mississippi Insurance Department. Reed, thanks for coming on.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
All right, so give us an update. What's happening there in the Mississippi Insurance Department? I think a lot of people are probably not aware. We could start with that that is a major responsibility for the Department of Insurance, right? They're really the state's fire marshal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And your state's fire services is housed under as a division of the Mississippi Insurance Department.
Yeah,
and of course Commissioner Cheney serves as your state fire marshal as well. So from the fire marshal standpoint, you have what you would typically think of fire investigations and, of course, the things we don't like to talk about and fatalities and those types of things, all the way to the fun side, I call it, my side, which is the things that we do to support our local fire services, our 750 departments throughout our state. So,
okay.
Of course, I've got the coolest job because, I get to play around with fire trucks all day. But
speaking of which, that's something that comes up a lot, does it not? And that's just the assets that are deployed and in place, positioned by the various fire departments across the state. And they rely to a great extent on the Department of Insurance and its involvement in that, right?
Well, they rely some more than others, of course, depending on the county or municipality and their particular economic situation. But things are expensive, just like everything else today, right? But fire trucks especially so. And so that's not something you go and purchase every year, thank goodness. But what we do through various programs, the Rural Fire Truck Acquisition Program and the like, is we support local fire services and their needs, with different rebate funds and others to prop up where we can and get that geared where it needs to go.
Yeah. Reed, it feels like that with all of this cool technology that we have today that's designed to detect and even prevent fires, that we'd be making marked progress towards just having fewer fires. But I've heard a statistic, help me out with this, that we have a total house fire in Mississippi every week. 1 per week on average was a stat that was actually shared with me by the Red Cross, the American Red Cross. And they say that's the number one emergency, if you will, that they respond to are house fires in the state of Mississippi.
That statistic would not surprise me at all. I mean, and so, like I said, you're looking at, of course, across our 82 counties, 750 different fire departments, not stations. You can multiply that by 3 for stations. Different fire departments responding to these calls. You're looking at thousands and thousands of incidents responded by our state fire services or our local fire services throughout the year and throughout the month. That one house fire a week, 2025, we're looking at about 59 fatalities.
Okay.
Fire fatalities. And you talk about technology and what we know. Here's one thing that we still have to do better on. Half of those fires, fatalities, there was no working smoke alarm.
And that's easy, simple, and inexpensive, right?
It is, even more so now because we just acquired a new grant through FEMA, AFG, Assistance to Firefighters Grant, to provide smoke alarms from the state to our fire departments so they can go throughout their community and install them and hopefully get this number down to where it to the zero it needs to be. So
I assume then that the Fire Services Division is a big proponent of the use of these smoke detectors, right?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And anything we could possibly do to help someone and to support our fire departments as they help their communities, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think I have the detectors in my house that will automatically call the fire department.
Absolutely.
And not all that expensive anymore, the way that used to be. That's come a long way.
Very much so. Of course, you can have all kind of bells and whistles in any kind of technology, but a basic 10-year lithium smoke alarm that will do all that it needs to do will cost you just about nothing. And through our program, it will cost you nothing. And the fire departments will actually come and install them for you. So
really?
Absolutely.
How does one sign up for that?
So we, of course, the federal government shut down. I believe we've been talking about this a little bit today. It's got us a little bit in a holding pattern. So it'll be the first of the year before our smoke alarms start arriving. But contact your local fire department. Stay in touch with them. We'll start shipping those alarms out at the first of the year, and they'll be the ones to come install them for you.
Okay. I didn't realize that. So the fire department will come install.
Yes, sir.
That's cool. And that's across the state? All fire departments?
The state. Any fire department can participate in the program. All they have to do is call me, and I'll drop the smoke alarms off to them, and whatever resources we can provide. And, you're looking at 70+% of our fire departments across the state are volunteer.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, we got to support them everywhere we can.
Absolutely, 100%. So, well, that's good to know. I'm glad you're informing the state of Mississippi public about that, because that seems like a no-brainer. If you've been putting that off, go ahead and take care of it, and it can possibly not cost you anything, and somebody else can come out and install it for you that know what they're doing.
The numbers don't lie. 58 fire deaths, but 27 plus of those, there was no working smoke alarm, and that is in 2025 across the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the issue that comes up a lot when I talk to the Mississippi Highway Patrol, the Department of Public Safety, of how many people don't have their seatbelts on, and then they come upon a crash, and sure enough, they don't. And, of course, usually the outcome is worse for the driver and the passengers when that's the case, if they don't have their seatbelts on. Yeah. This is the same sort of deal here. This is an easy deal that can notify, prevent, and you can avoid a catastrophe.
Absolutely. And, of course, as we experience this change in weather and temperature,
tell us about that.
There's adds unique risk in our homes throughout the state, especially in those that are economically challenged and having to search for and utilize heating sources inside their homes that are not intended to be used indoors. And we see that every year, and it's heartbreaking. Using propane heaters inside, using a stove to heat a room, that it's very dangerous. You don't know how dangerous it is until it's too late. And so, what do you say to somebody that doesn't have an alternative? I guarantee you, if you contact your local fire department, they'll find a way to help you on that. We don't want you taking that chance.
Okay. So, Reed, is there a need, and maybe this is happening, this is a question, I guess, for you, to educate our young folks about fire safety and ways to prevent fires so that they know things like you just talked about?
Yeah, of course. We all know about when the firemen would come to our school when we were little, right, and teach us the stop, drop, and roll, and that's still going on today. Our departments are doing that throughout their communities, every day of the week, especially the month of October. We've had Fire Prevention Week, a big push on fire safety. And so, yes, that's something that's taking place throughout our communities each and every day. We, on behalf of the State Fire Services Division of the Mississippi Insurance Department, support our departments and help them with their curriculum, materials, anything that we can provide so they can provide a quality educational safety program in the community. So it's a big deal. You know, the get out and stay out is your current one of your current slogans, just like stop, drop, and roll. But it means just what it says. If you have a fire, get out and stay out.
Okay. Now, whenever we talk to Commissioner Mike Chaney, Insurance Commissioner, he always talks about the Fire Academy.
Yeah. Right.
And the work being done there. How are we doing there?
Oh, fantastic. Your state fire academy, located in Pearl, Mississippi, if you've never been there, you need to find an opportunity to go and visit. It is absolutely cream of the crop, the best, and so many opportunities that they're providing, both on campus and online and throughout every single county in our state. We have the best, most experienced, most dedicated instructors at that academy, and it's a sight to see.
Yeah, and that's just good to know. So, and how often does the academy have classes, the actual school, the training itself?
There are probably 8 or 9 classes going on at this very moment.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So that's that they are hosting, involved in, teaching, testing, providing skill support. I mean, here's the thing: we have to provide the support and training to our firemen where they exist.
Okay.
In the way that they can take it. And nearly 80% volunteer. That means, they can't just take off work every day to learn something new.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, before you go, what should we be doing? We got about 30 seconds to make sure that we're aware of the time of year and some of the risks that are associated with that.
Check your smoke alarm. If you don't have one, get one.
Okay.
Check those batteries. Of course, we know that during the time change. If you are using any kind of space heaters in the home, be sure you're not plugging those into any extension cords. Keep them 3 feet away from anything else.
Okay.
So don't plug those in, and make sure that whatever you're using and preparing to heat your home this winter, that it's rated for indoor use and it's safe to use.
Okay. Good information. Appreciate it, Reed. Reed Abraham, State Fire Coordinator, Fire Services Division, Mississippi Insurance Department. Give my best to the commissioner as well.
Will do.
Thank you,
sir.
Reed. Appreciate it. We're stepping aside for a break. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
It is on
SuperTalk Mississippi.
We're back with you in the Element Wealth studio. We appreciate Reed Abraham for joining us. I was just sharing with Rhino that we're adding some songs to our set list in the house band. I love this song. Of course, I'm a big Eagles fan. A lot of folks from my generation and honestly beyond are as well. That's back when they made real music, real musicians making real music, as you know. And those guys were incredibly talented, of course. The great Don Henley and Glenn Fry on lead vocals. And Don Henley, of course, the drummer, a total beast because he did the lead on many of their famous tunes and also played the drums quite well. That is just a skill I haven't mastered. I can kind of do one or the other. I can actually sing in those keys. So, that's the main thing. You got to pick. If you have any kind of voice that can carry a tune, you got to pick something in your key, unless you're a beast and you span them with equal.
Yeah, it's got to be in your range.
Yeah, with equal depth. Some can. So there are some vocalists. I don't know about any current ones, but usually when you think about vocalists that could sing equally well across all the octaves, Karen Carpenter comes to mind is one. Barbara Streisand. Don't agree with her politics, but she's one, known for that. Of course, my favorite, the voice himself, Steve Perry. There are a few that can do that. But you got to pick something that's right, that's in your range. So I was just telling Rhino, I'm going to try to sing Peaceful, Easy Feeling. I can actually sing it, and I think I can do it and play the drums at the same time because the drums aren't terribly difficult. That one's got a little bit more difficult licks to it, and though I can sing it, I can't play the drums at the same time. It definitely makes you appreciate the extraordinary, superhuman, honestly, talent those guys had. It's just unbelievable. It's fun to just think about and watch. It's like sometimes that knowing what's involved in that, I look and say, how in the world are they doing that? That's just incredible.
I still say the best is Phil Collins.
Unbelievable. Right. And, he'll tell you he's a drummer first and a singer. You've seen the interviews with him. They're fascinating. I'm a drummer that happens to sing, right?
Oh, yeah.
He wants to be respected, and he was very, of course, when he was playing regularly, a great drummer and vocalist as well. Made a bunch of hits and has an iconic voice. But, yeah, total beast. Completely. Those are superhuman, talented people, blessed by the Lord above with those talents. Just digressing a little bit. Great tune. We appreciate that.
It'll depend on the audience you're performing for, but if y'all do add Peaceful, Easy Feeling to the set list, you could always add the alternative of Peaceful, Easy Feeling, Amazing Grace, because you can sing Amazing Grace to the tune of Peaceful, Easy Feeling.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Was that possibly the inspiration for the song? I never thought about it, but you're right in thinking
for
through
Peaceful,
those
Easy Feeling?
Yeah.
I kind of doubt it.
It just works out that way.
There are several songs that you wouldn't really think match up, but because of the music theory behind the songs, they line up. Like, you can sing Amazing Grace to the tune of Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
The theme song.
You're right.
You can sing Amazing Grace to the tune of Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Yeah. Now, I should point out, by the way, that both that song and Peaceful, Easy Feeling, the lead vocalist is Glenn Frey. I should point that out, not Don Henley. One of These Nights, Don Henley. We've talked about that one, which has maybe some of the most complex and just phenomenal harmonies of certainly any rock song. That's back when Randy Meisner was playing with him, and he handles that really high falsetto. But it's him and Joe Walsh and Fry's in there as well in the harmonies, but it's Don Henley on the lead. That one is incredible as well.
Most of the range you see nowadays from vocalists are usually kind of in niche genres or are less prevalent in pop or rock music, just like the simplest forms of pop and rock.
Yeah.
You get into the more hardcore metal, you'll have artists that have astounding ranges, especially considering some of their songs, they're screaming. But then when they sing, it's like, whoa, they got pipes.
Yeah.
And then you have other, like the niche genre of the a cappella groups. Those are full of people with astounding vocal ranges.
Yeah. I mean, it is a blessing. There's no doubt about it. And it's a unique blessing when you can sing, again, equally adeptly, with equal adeptness. How about that? And all the ranges. Just very few that's ever walked the planet that can do that. Pretty much have to stick to what works for the way their vocal cords are structured, right? But I find that fascinating. Hope you didn't mind us digressing a little bit about that. On the C Spire text line, someone said Fox News' Jesse Waters up at the Pavilion. Oh, wow. Awesome. Great. Well, it's the vice president. Of course, you would expect that. And all the media. And I do think this is going to project Ole Miss and Mississippi in a very positive light. Of course, except for those who can't stand Donald Trump and and J.D. Vance. They'll never get over that. It's like a disease they have. They thrive on their contempt and disdain for the president and vice president. Speaking of which, the leader over there in the Senate for the Democrats, Chucky Schumer, feels the heat of AOC, does he not? Who I think is poised to take him on for U.S. Senate. And the one thing you cannot discount is that physical appearance, charisma mean a lot for political candidates. Chuck Schumer, with that condescending look down through his bifocals hanging off his nose, never, ever smiles. Of course, you don't see many.
He does. It just looks like the grin of a Bond villain.
That's a good way to put it. But this is the other thing I've noticed. He is a prolific reader of paper documents. Have you ever seen him not have a document in front of him when he's speaking at the well there in the U.S. Senate? And he's hyper-focused on those papers in front of him that some staffer, of course, wrote for him. He don't even know what the hell he's reading, like Joe Biden in many respects. And so sometimes I know we can get a little frustrated with our president because he can elongate his speeches because he ad-libs a lot. But you know what? You got to respect the fact that he's looking at that teleprompter and he'll frequently just go off script and just add his own personal comments and analysis. You want to see that, in my view. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be in that position. You got to have some original thoughts. You got to be able to think on your feet. And he's unbelievable at that. Schumer, on the other hand, follows a script and is always reading documents with that nose pointed down and never smiles. And I'm pointing this out because you've seen AOC at these rallies for Zoran Mondami, who seems well positioned to become the next mayor of the Big Apple of New York. Although Cuomo isn't he something? He has closed the gap. Still a double-digit lead, like 48-38, I think, last I checked. Mondami over Cuomo. But AOC, Bernie Sanders, Mondami had a big rally in New York. 13,000 attended this rally, which is just disturbing to me when you think about what those three stand for. Everything that I don't stand for, that I oppose, especially from an economic policy perspective, because they're, at their heart, they're Marxists that believe in economic division, a key tenet of Marxism, and big-time confiscation and redistribution while their little sticky, greedy fingers come off the top. But you'll have to give her this, Rhino. She does pump a crowd up. She is charismatic. She don't know what the hell she's talking about. And she's certainly more attractive than Schumer. But that bar's pretty low at this point in his life. He feels the heat, does he not? Oh, my guess is he's got some internal polling that shows him upside down on that. But more disturbing to me are 13,000 people in that audience clapping and cheering and celebrating and praising their ideals. That's really bothersome to me, how so many people in this country, especially the young folks, have turned to this deeply flawed, destructive, poor outcome producing system of socialism. And when we come back, I got to tell you about what the California unions want to do. It's through a ballot measure. Stay with us.
From the Seabrook Doctor.
Are we going to do this?
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Keep rolling. 3, 2, 1.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. We're in the Element Wealth studio. We're trying to get in touch with our man on the scene, Caleb Sailors. He's up there in Oxford on the campus of Ole Miss. That's because of the big Turning Point USA event scheduled at the Pavilion tonight. And we're looking forward to that, but we're trying to run him down. He's supposed to be on with us right now. We were texting since we talked last, and he did find his way over to Connor Hall there on the campus, and is with my good friend, Professor Vicki Dickinson, a member of the Patterson School of Accountancy faculty, also works with the Turning Point USA organization as well as the College Republicans. So hopefully we can get him on here, Rhino, and see. So he did find the professor. He told me he's sitting talking to her right now. That's awesome. That's great. NVIDIA, we got to pass this on, Rhino, the first company to achieve a $5 trillion market cap. Guys, that is massive. And that is a result of course, a big boost in the shares today and really over the last few days. There was a sell-off not so long ago. There was some concerns about NVIDIA's sales outlook because of the tariff posture and our government not allowing some of their chips to be sold to China, but there seems to be a break in the ice there. But they've also got some new technology. So, Rhino, they announced, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, what's the name of their big annual conference? I think it's like an acronym, 3 letters or something. And he delivered his keynote yesterday at the conference. Industry reports indicate that
GTC.
That's it. And what does that stand for? I don't even know. But that is the name. I knew it was some sort of 3-letter acronym. But it's being reported that it was his best keynote ever.
GPU Technology Conference.
I had a feeling G was GPU just because that's the primary business line of the company, of course. They manufacture graphics processing units originally, as we have discussed many times, for video games. Little did they know how perfectly suited are their chips for the processing of artificial intelligence. I'm not so sure that Mr. Wong knew that either, did he, Rhino? I don't think there's ever been any reports that said, yeah, eventually this is going to power AI.
Not necessarily that, but it was believed that it could lead to further progress and innovation because it was simply building something more and more efficiently to compute more and more efficiently. So, that was the whole point, because in video games, the purpose of the video card was to calculate and be able to display more and more and more polygons.
Right.
Because the more polygons up to a certain point, the more you could put into a model for a sprite or an asset in a video game, the more photorealistic it was, so it was a more immersive experience.
Right.
So that those efficiencies just compounded to the point where nowadays you need more than just the polygons to impact the immersion of a video game, but that computational power has been redirected.
Makes sense. And we should also point out that these GPUs, that's what NVIDIA makes, these graphics processing units that were originally optimized and designed to support what you're talking about, the more immersive video game experience. The typical configuration is those are installed in machines side by side with a central processing unit. They're called dual processing servers. And so as instructions are entered into the memory of that are worked on by the central processor, central processor determines, hey, this would be more efficiently processed by the onboard graphics processing unit, transfers it over there. It all happens at light speed virtually. And then it handles those calculations, those processing measures, usually artificial intelligence type algorithmic processing. And that's why it's so super efficient and honestly necessary for AI, especially generative AI, to be useful. Otherwise, you'd be waiting. You see a little delay now, depending on what you ask, the generative AI tools, but that latency would even be increased were it not for what NVIDIA makes. It's what makes it, honestly, usable, functional.
Yeah, I mean, like in the example of video games, the GPU was making it look pretty. The CPU was the skeleton of the game. So, for an example, you just got a random video game character and there's a campfire. Well, to make the campfire look pretty and flicker and look more like a realistic campfire, the GPU's firing up to process that. Whereas if you move your character towards the campfire or stand in the campfire and start taking damage on your character because it's fire, that's processed by the CPU. Yeah. That's the skeleton of the game itself. That's the game you're playing, not what you're looking at that's the representation of the game.
Well, you make the point, and this is also what we need to point out. The CPU is handling and processing the inputs from the user. When you're moving your joystick and all the hardware interfaces, that's the job of the CPU. It's that limited part of, but extremely compute-intensive part of the process. It transfers over to the GPU. But what I was going to say is, yesterday Wong gives his keynote speech, and it has been reported as his best ever. I follow Jensen on social media and like to sit down and watch his video interviews, his podcast. He's brilliant, and we can all learn a lot from him. But what he announced, and I'm not sure if this was intentional, is that they have a pipeline of $500 billion of sales of their chips over the next 6 quarters, is the way he explained it. Of course, the market's reacting positively to that. Thus, the company's worth $5 trillion today. Man, it seems like just yesterday we were celebrating Apple becoming a $1 trillion company. And I think right behind them was Microsoft, and then, of course, Alphabet, Google, achieving the $1 trillion high water mark. Now, those companies are worth $4 trillion, and NVIDIA has evolved as the most valuable company, again, on the planet at $5 trillion. But here's something I want to point out. $500 billion of sales over a year and a half, 6 quarters. We've talked about this before. The margins this company produces are outlandish. I mean, like nothing you'll find anywhere else. 60% net margins, I think, is the last I checked. Last year they had sales of about $120 billion, and their net profit was $90. Their net profit was 3 times their expenses. I think I'm on the mark there. That struck me so much that I got that one committed to memory. But if the same margin structure held, NVIDIA is going to become the first company ever to produce $200 billion of net income in a single year. Now, the largest company in America is Walmart in terms of gross sales. $650 billion, and they and Amazon go back and forth for that distinction. $650 billion of gross revenue. Walmart's net income, $20 billion a year. So NVIDIA is poised to generate 10 times the net income of Walmart in a year on that basis. And, man, the redistributionists, the wealth confiscators are going to go, I can't say what I want to say. The FCC won't allow us to do it. They're going to be mad about that. And it's all because we're buying this stuff. We want it. We use it. We consume it. We're getting value. We as in society, businesses. They're not buying $500 billion worth of chips, all the various customers that they're selling these to. For doorstops, I can assure you. So this is pretty cool when you think about it. It just really excites me about the possibilities in this country, what free market capitalism, and I know there's some out there saying we don't really have free market capitalism in here in our country. Okay, it's more free market capitalism, I believe, than any other countries is. And I think that's notable. Would I like to make some improvements from a policy perspective to make it even more free market? 100%. Absolutely. It's something we've talked about, but to suggest, as many on the left do, that the game is rigged and it's up and you can't achieve anything, that's just horse hockey, I'm telling you. There are more opportunities than ever. And there is a way to achieve massive wealth quicker than ever as a result of all these technological advances. And by the way, they touch every single industry. We're stepping aside for a break. We're coming right back. Trying to find Caleb Sailors up there at Ole Miss. Stay with us.
Polyupa, Mississippi.
We're rolling.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
What? This is so
Awesome. On SuperTalk Mississippi.
All right, we're back. It's Middays in the Element Well studio. Okay, Caleb, we got you on video now, my friend. What's going on?
Gerard, I'm here. Yeah, sorry, I was in Professor Dickinson's office.
That's
I took
awesome.
your recommendation, went up and saw her. We had a really good conversation, Gerard. She's very excited about this event, and I'm going to move my camera slowly, but
Okay.
look behind you.
Yeah.
Look at all these people.
Golly, that's incredible.
This line is long.
Oh, my gosh.
Long. There are a lot of people energetic, enthused to see the Vice President, J.D. Vance, and
Yeah.
hear from Erica Kirk tonight here at the TPUSA. This is the Turning Point Tour event here at Ole Miss.
This is so awesome, and I'm so glad you got to meet up with Professor Dickinson. I know that she has actually worked hard on this, and she's super excited, as are so many other people across the campus there. And across the state, let's be honest, the vice president, sitting vice president, coming to the Magnolia State and coming to our alma mater there, the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, at the John and Sandy Black Pavilion. I know John and Sandy well also. They're great Americans, great Mississippians, and great Ole Miss Rebels, and we appreciate their contribution for the naming rights of the pavilion. So the pavilion, I think, holds, when I checked it, Caleb, 9,500. I wasn't sure if that's for a basketball game or if that includes when you put seats on the floor. What do you know about the configuration of the pavilion for tonight's event?
9,500 for basketball games, so that does not include when the floor is open. Okay. I'm not 100% sure how many people it'll be able to fit with the floor being open, because there will be a portion of the backdrop that won't be open. So there's stadium seating there that won't be available tonight. So I'd probably say still around 9,500 to 10,000. Okay. I'm not 100% sure there. But yeah, there's a lot of people. They're definitely going to be turning people away tonight.
Yeah, because I think the priority scheme is the VIP folks and the students are let in at 3 o'clock. Once all that happens, then okay, whoever else we got room for, right? Which is probably nobody.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any standing room only availability tonight. And look, Gerard, this line behind me, it is about 96, 97% students, all young people.
Incredible.
That are geared up, enthusiastic. Gerard, I actually talked to a 17-year-old high school student from Northwest Rankin in the Jackson metro area. Blake, become a friend of mine. Nice young man whose parents encouraged him to skip class today to come to this event. Said he will learn a lot more hearing from the vice president than he would being at Northwest Rankin High School today.
Oh my gosh! No disrespect, of course, to the fine instructors,
Nothing against
teachers.
The school. The school's a great school.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what did you glean from Professor Dickinson there?
So Professor Dickinson spoke very highly about the university and how it went all out to facilitate this event, and even how the university is facilitating and offering protection for not only the vice president and Erica Kirk and those who are going to be in attendance here tonight, but also those who are going to be at the counter event at the student union. She commended the university for being, fair and balanced in its approach to allowing a conservative organization, and then those who don't espouse conservative values. But she also was very hopeful that there are those who may not have their minds made up politically that enter those doors tonight and learn something. And maybe it doesn't shape their worldview or anything, but they learn something new about a side they may have not supported in their lifetime, a side they may have not agreed with in their lifetime. And then they come out being more educated tonight than they had been before they walked in those doors to the pavilion.
Amen. That's absolutely right, because all too often, as you know, in the college campus environment, they only get one perspective, one value set, if you will, and they need to be exposed to multiple viewpoints so that they can critically think and make their own mind up. So here we go. We got the Vice President, Erica Kirk, and you know they're going to talk a lot about what Charlie Kirk promoted and stood for, which is a good thing. They talked about often, right, his Christian convictions and his commitment to the rule of law and our Constitution, and things that are just family as well, and just mainstream traditional life. And I think he influenced a lot of students in that respect. I think we're going to see that message tonight, if I had to guess.
One thing that drew people to Charlie, too, people that weren't even conservative, was that he shared the gospel before he shared any political message. So I think a lot of people resonated with that. And you see church attendance hit not record highs, but incredible highs after Charlie Kirk passed away. A lot of people were soul searching, and I think there's going to be a lot of that here tonight. And I'll tell you what, Gerard, as an aside, I bet Chris Beard is looking at all these people out here saying, hey, y'all better do this when the Rebels take the court here soon.
You're probably right. Chris Beard, of course, the Ole Miss basketball coach, with his facility just down the street there. So, awesome. All right, Caleb, we're going to let you go. I think we're going to talk to you one more time. You'll probably have some more conversations with some of the students or others there on campus. I'm so glad you got to connect. I'm glad we worked that out with Professor Dickinson over there at the Patterson School of Accountancy in Connor Hall right now. That was a good deal. Appreciate it, Caleb. All right, we'll be back with you a little bit later in the show. Caleb Sailors, everyone. Thanks a lot, Caleb.
Thanks, Gerard.
Coming right back after Fox News and SuperTalk News with the afternoon portion of Middays.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
That's what I like to listen to.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Winter is here again, oh Lord. Haven't been home in a year, oh Lord. I hope she holds on a little longer.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. We're coming at you from the Element Well studio on this Hump Day. It's hour 3, the afternoon portion of the program. It's a big day in the Magnolia State because the Vice President of these United States will be at the Pavilion on the Ole Miss campus this evening. Our man from SuperTalk Mississippi News, Caleb Sailors, multimedia journalist, on site there. We enjoyed talking to him. He picked a great spot there, Rhino, with the crowd waiting outside the pavilion in the background. That's pretty cool, but it's amazing.
For our final update, he's going to have to do a call-in again because he started getting soaked right there at the end.
Yeah, I saw people behind him walking with umbrellas, so I figured I hadn't checked the radar that the rain is moving. And so before we went to break, I was just talking about NVIDIA, and it's because there's been a tremendous run in the stock market the last few days. The Dow presently up 223 points. In the NASDAQ, that's where all the action is, the tech-heavy NASDAQ. That's because a couple of things that are driving investors to purchase shares of these companies. One is the president's over in Asia, and he is experiencing good results in breaking through this trade impasse, and it looks like we're going to have a deal. In fact, the news right now, he's set to meet with Xi Jinping in South Korea. And the president also, he's a master at this, isn't he, Rhino? Doing a little bit of kind of thumb and nose meeting with Taiwan. And Japan, where there is a conservative leader, female, I can't remember her name, that just recently elected there in Japan, kind of turning around that country a bit from a
Sane Takaichi.
Thank you. Philosophical. But, man, did you see she with the president yesterday? They seem to be pretty chummy, which is good to see.
Yeah, she gifted President Trump, former Prime Minister, the late Shinzo Abe, his putter.
That's exactly right, knowing that he's a big golfer. That's right. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Question was, did he play with it? And she was, yes. And he just started gushing about how good a guy Abe was.
Yep. Now, isn't she a golfer as well? She's an athlete of some sort. Didn't that come out? I thought I saw that. I could have misheard that. But she's something.
No, she's like a fan of rock music, and I think she plays the drums.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. I knew there was something that I had a bit of a connection to her with. Maybe that's what it is. That she's
during her university year, she joined a band playing the drums.
Okay, thank you. That's awesome. But so that's what's driving the markets. Is it looks like we got a deal with Japan. In fact, we do. And with China, we have a framework. We're still awaiting more details and a more formal consummation of that. And now Korea. So this is all good stuff. The market's like that. And then, of course, we got the Fed meeting, and they're pretty much convinced we're going to see a pullback on the benchmark interest rate, expecting 2 this year. Bottom line is markets like all this. Plus, we have big earnings coming out this week, including Microsoft today after the bell, which is driving the technology stocks because they are expected to have a blowout quarter. And investors are bullish on Microsoft in that respect. But NVIDIA, the big announcement from Jensen Huang, the CEO that I was talking about before we went to break, that was at their GTC conference, their big annual NVIDIA event. The CEO, Jensen Huang, delivered an outstanding keynote address. But, again, he announced we got $500 billion in the pipeline of sales over the next 6 quarters. That's over a year and a half. And so NVIDIA, an extremely profitable company, in fiscal year 2025, their operating income was $81 billion. I said 92 earlier. There have been some adjustments made. Those were preliminary reports. After the adjustments, okay, it's only $81 billion on revenue of $130. That's mind-boggling. So you can do the math there. That's about, 63% net income. That is unbelievable. 62.3 to be exact. 62% bottom line, that means your expenses are 40%. I don't know that there's ever been a company whose net income exceeds their expenses. Mind-boggling. But if you extrapolate it, if they do $500 billion over 6 quarters, and they maintain the same profit margin, that is $300 billion of net income over a year and a half. Now, I know right now we're shut down because of these enhanced subsidies in the ACA. That's really the big sticking point. Republicans want those to expire. At least they want to open the government up. Let me restate that. And then negotiate. But they're scheduled to expire at the end of the year. And Democrats are drawing a line in the sand and saying, no, you got to include that in the spending bill, Chuck Schumer, to extend those enhanced subsidies. Republicans object to that from the perspective of you got to do that just to pass a continuing resolution. It looked like the one that passed in May to keep the government open. And so thinking about how insurance companies benefit, because the payments from the federal government, the premium tax credits, go to the insurance companies, not to the individual that's buying the insurance. You pay your part based on the subsidy model, that meaning the purchaser, the person buying the coverage on the online marketplaces. But the insurance companies are who the government sends the money to. That's a bunch of money that's going to them. But I always find it fascinating that the top 7 insurance companies in this country that sell health insurance, their combined net profit comes in at about $50 billion a year combined. NVIDIA made $81 last year, and next year I think they're going to make $200. That means NVIDIA's net profit will be 4x the entire health insurance industry in this country. And I'm not saying there's anything good or bad or wrong or right about that. I'm just pointing out the math, the numbers. On the C Spire text line, someone said, bet they don't pay their employees much. You couldn't be more wrong about that, talking about NVIDIA. It's stunning the number of millionaires this company has minted. 80% of NVIDIA's staff are millionaires. Half of them have a net worth over $25 million. You looked it up. Their average pay is what, $130,000, something like that? So
yeah, their average annual salary is $143,000. Their median annual salary is $134,000, and they also have a restricted stock unit program and an employee stock purchase plan.
Yep,
where they can set aside up to 15% of their salary. And they get a look-back feature, meaning that the employee gets to buy the stock at a lower price of either the start of the offering period or the end. So they can buy stock that's pretty much been not straight up, but climbing a pretty steep mountain for a while now, and they can buy it at a discounted price. So, their stock options are nice.
Employee stock options, which options, just to distinguish between options and grants. In options, the company provides you the option to purchase shares at a discounted rate. It's selling for $100 a share. You can buy it for $80, for example. But there's a vesting associated with that. That's why it's called restricted. Grants are when the company says, hey, look, have 1,000 shares. Now, here's the problem with the grants. You got to pay taxes on that. Not options. You do when you exercise and you sell the stock from the exercising of the option, just like you would when you buy and sell stock normally. But if the company gives you grants, that's considered compensation. And you have to pay tax, even though you don't have any cash. All you have are stock options. Now, most companies, Rhino, will help with that. They'll not only give you the grants, but they'll give you cash to cover the taxes. I know I did in my company when we did stock grants like that. So the fact is, NVIDIA employees are getting stinking rich, and well they should, because they're changing the world for the better, and they're playing a critical role. Does this not also, Rhino, refute the old standard narrative from the left? You're earning all that income on the backs of those poor employees. Poor employees, they're worth $25 million. They're clueless. We got to talk about California on the other side, what they want to do to these rich people. Stay with us.
Before your heating or air conditioning unit goes south, call our friends at Pure Air Consultants, your local day and night dealer. Tony and his team of professionals at Pure Air Consultants have been serving Central Mississippi for more than 21 years. Contact us today for free estimates or second opinion on replacements, or even to schedule regular maintenance to keep your unit performing at its best. Special financing offers are available too with Pure Air Consultants, your day and night dealer, online at mypureairconsultants.com. That's mypureairconsultants.com.
Hi, this is Mark Shapley from Shapley's Restaurant. The other night, a good friend came in with his family and new grandchild. He commented that this was the 4th generation to visit Shapley's, and it just hit me how special that is. 4 generations of celebrations, business meetings, anniversaries, and many other special occasions. Since 1985, Shapley's has done the best to offer the finest and prime beef and the freshest seafood available, and we plan on many more years to come. We celebrate our 40th anniversary this year. Shapley's Restaurant, continuing a strong tradition.
Calories is Everything that's growing green, that's what Callaway's is.
This is Brent Callaway. Since 1954, Callaway's has been family-owned and operated. Save the date. Callaway's Christmas open houses will be the first 2 Sundays in November, with refreshments and door prizes every half hour. Come see Callaway's beautifully decorated Christmas store with a large selection of permanent Christmas trees, wreaths, garlands, angels, nativities, ornaments, and much more. Fall is here, and Callaway's has a large selection of your favorite trees, shrubs, and fall color plants. Callaway's outdoor patio furniture is in stock and ready for delivery. All 20 to 50% off. Don't forget to save the date. Callaway's Christmas open houses will be the first 2 Sundays in November, with refreshments and door prizes every half hour. Come see Callaway's beautifully decorated Christmas store with a large selection of permanent trees, wreaths, garlands, angels, nativities, ornaments, and much more. Bring the family and enjoy the afternoon. Callaway's Bloodstadt on Calhoun Station Parkway, south of Germantown.
The Delta Ag Expo is back November 13th and 14th at the Bolivar County Expo Center in Cleveland, Mississippi. This year, the expo expands beyond agriculture to include wildlife conservation and management. Whether you're a farmer, landowner, or hunter, this is your chance to explore the latest in ag technology and outdoor innovation. During this free event, network and get research-based education you need to make smart decisions for the year ahead. To get more information or to become a vendor, go to DeltaAgExpo.com. That's DeltaAgExpo.com.
No talking points and no spin, just the truth as we cover the news. That's what you get with me. It's Eric Erickson, weeknights starting at 9 p.m. right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Attention, adoring fans! It's time for
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
We're back with you in the Element Well studio. Sharon and Brandon asked, will the TPUSA event be carried on radio or streaming service? And are you attending the event tonight? So we got Caleb on the line. I'll first answer the question. I am attending the event tonight. I'm honored to receive a pass to do so. It's been in the works for quite some time, and I will be giving a first-hand report, of course, tomorrow from the event. But, Caleb, what do you know about any sort of live radio or video streaming of the event?
TPUSA will be streaming on its website, Gerard, and possibly on its social media. And I believe we're going to be streaming it as well at SuperTalk on our network, social media, Facebook, etc. Okay, great. Sharon, hope you heard that. Thank you for that, Caleb. So, Caleb, get you to react from this on our C-Spire text line. I just drove from Batesville to Tupelo. I didn't know we owned that many highway patrol cars. I have seen them emerging in Oxford from all directions. Gerard, I just saw police on horseback walking, or the horses were trotting by the Ole Miss football practice facility, which, of course, is adjacent to the pavilion. And there are Lafayette County Sheriff's deputies out here. There are Oxford police officers out here. There's university police out here. There are Secret Service agents out here. I mean, just about every law enforcement agency you could think of, private security, everybody's out here. They've got entrances and exits closed off. They're selective on who they're letting in. You know, you have to have certain kind of parking, like for media, you have a designated area to park. And and they're watching all entryways too, making sure that this is as safe as possible. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, I appreciate you giving that report. So have you talked to anybody else since we last talked? Gerard, I've talked to a lot of people. I think I'll send a picture to you and Rhino of the line. It's already past the Turner Center, the gym at Ole Miss, right? 2 buildings down from the pavilion, and the line's already past it. I mean, heading toward the Tad Pad. It's nuts out here, and these people are energetic. Most people are here. They're excited to hear from J.D. Vance. They're excited to hear from, what the vice president has to say. And this is, kind of the signature event for TPUSA's This is the Turning Point Tour. This is J.D. Vance's first stop on the tour here at Ole Miss. And so is expected, not only to draw a big crowd, but to draw a big response. And, I really haven't been able to talk to anybody who's countering the event. I'm sure there will be some lining up at the student union here soon at Ole Miss to have the event that's counter to the TPUSA one. But as far as people lined up outside the pavilion, Gerard, everybody is excited. they're ready to go hear what Erica Kirk has to say, to hear the mission about TPUSA, about free markets and individualism and people living a conservative and Christian lifestyle. And I've seen mostly, it's about 96, 97% young people, I would say between the ages of 16 and 24. But I've also seen some of the younger youth with their parents as well. And I've had the chance to talk to some of the adults, and the adults are really eager for the young people to learn the kind of Ronald Reagan style of conservatism, what drew them to the Republican Party or conservative politics at their children's age. And so a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm, definitely a lot of stress on law enforcement because of the surge of people. But overall, the mood here is really, really good. Yeah, that's good. It's good to hear. So sounds like everything's all set up. Plenty of security, of course, and law enforcement. And it's still raining, right? It is raining. I'm currently in the SuperTalk Mississippi news car right now to get out of the rain, and I'm about to put on some nicer clothes to go into the event as well. But one thing I will let the audience know, too, for those who may be listening in line or those who may have kids that are trying to get in and listen, be prepared to be screened like you're going through TSA at the airport. I mean, they're going to be checking everything about you, making sure you don't pose any type of threat tonight. So, Secret Service doesn't play. So if you're familiar with how you check in at the airport, kind of get familiar with that tonight is the message. Yeah, that's pretty good. And folks need to be ready. So there are questions about, what am I trying to say here? About Jesse Waters, broadcasting his show live from the Pavilion. What do you know about that? Waters World will be here live at Ole Miss tonight. I'm not sure. I know Fox News sent us an email, or sent me an email about all the logistics. I'll have to go back over and look at it, and I can send that to you before your show ends. But as far as this segment, I'm not 100% sure all of the logistics behind Waters World, but the show will be here tonight. And, this isn't the first time Fox News has posted up on campus. Remember Laura Ingraham did her show a couple of years ago before a big football game at Ole Miss on a Friday night, had the governor on, Tate Reeves, of course. And so it's just a testament to the growth of Ole Miss and how, attractive the university has become, that not only does the vice president want to be here, but national media outlets are coming here. And, of course, Shepard Smith, an Ole Miss alum who has always shouted out the city of Oxford whenever he was broadcasting. Yeah. And so a place rich in history and tradition, and it's being displayed tonight. Yeah. Russell in Eupora on the C Spire text line says it'll also be streamed on Fox Nation's website. So that's good to know. So multiple streaming opportunities. So, of course, I'm going to steer everybody to SuperTalk Mississippi because, that's my employer. I'm a fan of our place of work, Gerard, and so I want people to tune into SuperTalk. Yeah, sure. And, of course, keep up with our Facebook, our Twitter, or X, rather, and keep up with me on social media, Caleb Sailors ST. I'll be giving live updates, and I'll have a kind of a recap article tonight, too. So we're going to be doing everything to give everybody full coverage of this event. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I asked you that question because, Rhino, I don't think we were told, right? I wasn't aware we were going to be streaming. So I'm glad to know that, and I'm glad you pointed that out for our audience. And, I hope they all tune in to supertalk.fm and follow you as well. You'll be providing regular live updates from the event then, right? I sure will. And then afterward, I'm looking to catch up with Congressman Michael Guest to kind of get his take on everything that was said tonight and maybe get a question about this ongoing government shutdown when we're expecting Congress to kind of put their differences aside and pay federal employees, get our, non-active duty, our reserve military paid and everything too. So looking forward to tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, I knew that he and his family are going to be attending. It's my understanding that he and his wife Haley are going to be along with some other of Mississippi's government officials will be in attendance, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, his sons are going as students. They're among the students that have tickets. And then Casey actually asked a question. I'm not sure if you know the answer, if I can find it. She said our local news. No, maybe that's not it. I apologize. I'm reading the wrong thing. So, I don't know. Somebody asked about if you're a student, you got a ticket, or you guaranteed to get in. See, that is kind of the murky part. So students will be given first priority. Now, does that mean every single student will get in? I'm not 100% sure, Gerard. I'm sure that there might be more than 9,500 young people or students, high school and college level, that are going to try to get in tonight. And so I know that students will be given first priority, and then everything after that is first come, first serve. And so if this place is filled with students and no one else is able to get in, then, well, it's filled with students. But I'm not exactly sure of the logistics there. And, of course, a lot of this was, I'm not saying done on the fly. None of this was done on the fly. It was very planned, but with Secret Service being here, they have to be very strategic about how they announce this and how they facilitate everything.
You're absolutely right. They take over, as they should. They run the show. But you want to see them coordinate and collaborate with all the other arms of law enforcement. That seems to be, we're learning something that maybe was missing, right, in the Pennsylvania event where there was an attempt on the president's life, that there doesn't seem to be that level of cooperation that you would expect. This seems to be totally different.
You took the words out of my mouth, Gerard. I've seen Lafayette County Sheriff's deputies talking with Oxford police officers, with Mississippi Highway Patrol, with Secret Service. Everybody seems to be on the same page, which is good because me and you are going to be here tonight.
Yes,
Gerard.
absolutely. That's awesome. That's the way it should be.
Bad happening?
That's absolutely the way it should be. Now, I think there needs to be somebody in charge, obviously, and then naturally it makes sense that this would be the Secret Service, given that it's the Vice President of the United States, but plenty of great assets and resources among the law enforcement units here in the state of Mississippi and, of course, locally there in Oxford, Lafayette County, and the university that can assist, and it sounds like that is exactly what's going to happen. So certainly excited about that, and it's just a great thing for our state and for the university to host our vice president and, of course, the widow of Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk. Again, like we said, I expect an inspiring message, and you never know. There may be some folks there among the students in the audience that are persuaded to perhaps change their political leanings a bit as a result of the message tonight.
And that was what Professor Dickinson and I spoke about earlier when I was in her office. She was hoping that, too, that there'd be some young, impressionable minds that walk in those doors and learn something new tonight.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't change their minds, they learn something new and the seed is planted.
That's awesome. So on the C Spire text line, I'm just going to pass this on before you go. Someone said, I just dropped off a kid at the event. People are everywhere. It's packed. Man, and that's 5 hours before we get kicked off almost. That's awesome.
I mean, you saw me on the video stream earlier, Gerard. I mean, I was not joking. I mean, again, Chris Beard is probably salivating at the opportunity to tell the Ole Miss students, hey, this needs to be the example for what we do during basketball season. No,
Amen.
I mean, it's incredible how many people are out here, Gerard.
All right, man. Maybe I'll run into you tonight. Appreciate it, Caleb. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Gerard. I'll be on the lookout for you.
All right, buddy. See you. We're coming right back.
From the Seabrook.com. Come on. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
All right, we are back
on SuperTalk Mississippi.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. You never take advice. Someday you'll pay the price. I know. I've seen it before. It happens all the time. You're closing the door. You leave the world behind. You're digging for gold. You're throwing away a fortune and feelings, but someday you'll pay.
We're back in the Element Well studio. We appreciate you joining us today. It's really pretty cool. Caleb sent me some photos and video, a little short video, Rhino, of the area around the pavilion. It is jam-packed with students in their rain gear and their umbrellas. I'm told you can't bring an umbrella in, so that might be a bit of a problem for those that are arriving with their umbrellas. I guess you'll leave them outside and hope it's there when you come out. But I don't fault them whatsoever for going through the most extreme security vetting measures. Makes complete sense to me and totally appropriate to protect the dignitaries, in particular the Vice President of the United States. And it's unfortunate that we got wackos in this country that have leaned into this assassination culture, as it is being described, that think the way to remedy what they don't like is just to kill somebody, right? I mean, you're seeing more and more of that. It's disgusting. It's despicable. And it's evil, honestly. You're just bad people. I don't know how else to put it. When you even think stuff like that. Oh, we just wiped them out. That solved the problem. It's just incredible that that's going on. And so I do think that is a function of moral decay. And it doesn't help that we got more, you would think, mature, thoughtful, intelligent people in our university community that are promoting this crap as well, right? I'm not aware of that happening in this great state of Mississippi. Maybe it is, and we don't know about it. But there are reports of this kind of stuff, this kind of rhetoric being spewed. And, you know,
I go back to a question I asked a couple of months ago.
What's that?
What happened to Weather Underground?
Yeah, I don't know.
If you
what's the deal?
didn't die or wind up in jail, they wound up in academia. And even the ones that did wind up in jail, when they got out, they wound up in academia.
That's terrible. Well, what I hope is that we start to see a little bit more balance at the higher ed level. And this isn't hyperbole. You've seen the numerous reports and polls of like 93% of college professors in the country donate.
Are worthless liberals.
Donate to Democrats.
I'm not going to couch it. They're just worthless.
And, of course, would define themselves as avowed liberals. They're really avowed Marxists, honestly. And that's kind of a shame.
They are the seed of truth for the stereotype that if you cannot do, you teach.
That is absolutely right. That's totally right. And that's a shame. But it's a disservice to the students with whom they interact. Now, I gotta give a shout out to my friend Professor Ron Richlack, whose class I spoke to yesterday in the Ole Miss Law School, who thinks like you and I and most of our audience does as well. And he's a bit of a breath of fresh air in the academic community. And he's excellent. He's brilliant on top of that. Also got to give a shout out to young Kennedy Guest. He is Congressman Michael Guest and his wife Haley Guest's son. He's in his third year of law school. He was in the class, Rhino, and the professor always has a student introduce me for my little presentation on the Lottery Corp. And Kennedy did yesterday. So I really appreciate that. He did a fantastic job as well. So if you're listening, Kennedy, and I know you do sometimes, appreciate it, man. Good to see you guys yesterday. Enjoyed being with the class. So David in Indianola says, is there a line where the Democrats are meeting? Do they have security? I think it's at the Union, if I'm not mistaken. It's old J.T. Thomas and somebody else up there. You remember him. He's become infamous for his put your fingers in their food comments or whatever it was a few years ago.
Liberal.
Yeah. That was granted tenure to the chagrin of many, including me. So I don't believe...
Dude has done nothing to better society at all in his entire adult life.
Absolutely. And I will just say, for the record, I do not support the concept of guaranteed tenure in academia. I don't know where the hell that came from. I can't think of any other situation where you have that unless you're fortunate to be...
Much like the majority of things that Democrats abuse, the system was originally instilled with the purpose of protecting controversial debate.
Okay.
But that was supposed to be from both directions.
That's not what we have.
And that's not the way the cookie crumbled.
100%. Well, look, if you're doing a good job, right, let the market work. You don't need protection. I oppose protectionist policies like that. They are counterintuitive and antithetical to free markets and capitalism. Now, if you're able to negotiate something with your employer, different story. I support your right to do that. Both sides' right. They want to do that, fine. It's what happens with these football coaches that are all the rage right now, right? Because they're talking firing. Well, one has been fired at LSU, right?
Yeah, Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly's been fired. And now there's this matter of a buyout for him, which was all negotiated as part of his contract. So, hey, more power to you if you can do that. But in general, hey, just sign here. We'll let you stay here for 4 or 5 years. We don't care how you do. Now, there's some exceptions. There may be some moral turpitude clauses or something like that. But in general, it's pretty dang hard, is it not, to fire a tenured academic? I think that's the truth. I told you I teased it a couple times. Sorry I hadn't gotten to it. And then Ben sent us a good message I'm going to get to in a minute. But California, always setting the trend, right? The California unions want billionaires to pay a one-time 5% tax on their wealth. For what? Healthcare. Healthcare. This is what I have problems with about this whole healthcare thing, is that, like so much else in our country, it's the most economically affluent who are paying the fare for everybody else, honestly. The plans to address Social Security, they're all built on that. The plans to address Medicare, they're built on that. And now this plan, and you hear it every day from the Democrats, well, we could extend these subsidies if we didn't give tax breaks to the billionaires, and their definition of a tax break is you get to keep more of your money. Well, that's a tax break. You need to pay it to the government. We'll tell you how much you can keep. That's a sick concept, in my view. So this 5%, get this right, I was expected to raise $100 billion. There are 800 billionaires in this country. 200 of them are in the golden state of California. 200.
That law goes into effect, I don't think they'll have 200 left.
Absolutely, 100% agree. So it's on a ballot measure, something we don't do here in the state of Mississippi. We don't have a ballot measure process anymore. That's another discussion for another day. But it's the Service Employees International Union, United Healthcare Workers in the western half of the country. They have a separate little deal. And St. John's Community Health in Los Angeles, they are the ones that promoted this ballot initiative, and voters are going to the polls to approve or reject a billionaire's tax. This is dangerous, in my view. Now, Ben pointed out a minute ago something that broke a couple of days ago, and that's closer to home. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann is not been supportive of any sort of robust school choice program in the state of Mississippi. He has indicated, as we pointed out many times on this program, in our interviews with him, that he would support some sort of public-to-public transfer, also known as open enrollment, on a limited basis. Again, I pointed out that I think he's kind of interchanged the idea of D&F districts and D&F schools, and those are different. Because you can
I would say that's because talk is cheap.
Maybe so. But a couple of days ago, he did an interview with another media outlet where he has indicated support for that, but once again, as Ben points out, he didn't really specify if that would be full, total open enrollment as per the bill Representative Jansen Owen authored and sponsored and passed in the State House last year, got pocket vetoed by our old friend Senator Dennis DePauw over in the Senate. Or if the lieutenant governor is supportive of just these transfers on a limited basis. He did make it clear again he's not in favor of any sort of use of taxpayer state funds to sponsor education in private schools, charter schools we have, but very limited, or other education settings such as home schools and micro schools. Final segment's coming up next.
Friday nights just got...
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
Now, on to the real part.
Dynamite!
On Super Talk Mississippi.
So, don't stop me now.
All right, we're wrapping it up. Final segment. The big TPUSA featuring Vice President J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk, the widow of the horrifically slain in broad daylight Charlie Kirk, at the Pavilion tonight on the Ole Miss campus. Looking forward to that. It's going to be a big deal. Caleb, by the way, just sent me another photo. And this one is what he was talking about earlier, Rhino. It's got someone in law enforcement. I can't make out. It looks like it may be the Oxford Police Department mounted on horseback. And I can see the indoor practice facility, which is right next to the pavilion, in the background. So they're certainly around the area. Kind of reminds me of Mardi Gras a little bit with the mounted law enforcement. The New Orleans Police Department, always beautiful animals, too, and love the mount as well. Always looks good. But
before they had those police towers where they got the little scissor lift and
that's right,
mini office on top of it with the blue light constantly going.
Yeah.
That was the best way to get a above the crowd vantage point.
That's a good point.
The mob.
I never really thought about that. So I think that was one purpose. The other purpose was to get folks to step back, stay back.
That animal can move people much easier than an officer can.
I totally agree. And you're going to step out of the way or you're going to get stepped on by a heavy animal. And they don't do that intentionally, but if you're in their way, that's what they're taught to do. And so they're sort of forming the line right there as they're walking mounted on the horse, of course, at a slow gait there. Yeah, pretty neat. But it's pretty neat what Caleb's sending us from up there in Oxford. Really something. So also wanted to pass this on. At the heart of the shutdown, as we've talked about, is the Affordable Care Act enhanced subsidies. Yesterday, Speaker Mike Johnson announced that he and the Republicans in the House are, in fact, working on a Republican health care plan. I'm not sure what to think about that, Rhino, at this point, because no details except something that's been discussed repeatedly for many years is expanding health savings accounts. Now, that helps you if you got enough money to put away and if your employer helps contribute. So those are pre-tax contributions to an account, and it's pre-tax what your employer contributes to it. You don't have to pay tax on that. You use those for your out-of-pocket expenses, not covered by insurance. I think that's limited to like $2,500 a year for an individual, $4,500 for a couple, for a family, if I'm not mistaken. So that helps. And increasing that would certainly help. Of course, that does take revenue away from the Treasury, and the left will go nuts about that because it's a tax break. But they're okay with paying premium tax credit money to the insurance companies. They're okay with that. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's become quite vocal in her criticism, I would say, Rhino, of the Republicans. And she is a very prominent lawmaker these days. She, as well as Josh Hawley, who I'm no longer a fan of, senator from Missouri in the Senate, of course, the upper chamber, they are calling the alarm on the effects of rising insurance rates. But Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says, they're talking about doing something, or the Republicans, about health care, but we don't have any details, and she's mad. Is the bottom line, because there have been no details divulged to this point. But I don't know. I kind of feel like that your analysis is more spot on. You get attention, just like we're talking about it here, because you can go look up that right now, and you'll see 20 articles about that, right? So there's something to be said for that, and I think you're right, totally on that. What she really thinks, we don't know. Now, I do think she does have some concerns about rising costs, as she should, as other lawmakers should as well, concerned about that. But she's the criticism, public criticism, that's what's for the attention, right?
Oh, yeah.
because that's the clickbait stuff that's going to get the media's attention. Look, here's this prominent, very well-known member of Congress. Her name ID's probably as good or better than anybody else in the Congress, honestly. I mean, from a national perspective, because the left can't stand her, and she's a conservative darling to many on the right. So the media is going to focus on her because they know that folks will read about it. But that's more about a media issue. But she is calling out the Speaker of the House, hey, you need to give us some details on this deal. But that's it for us today.
It'd be too hard for her to produce her own idea.
Exactly right. Why don't she? You're exactly right.
Or to even point out that the reason health care is so expensive is because of Obamacare.
Yeah, exactly. So we're out of here today. I'm looking forward to traveling north to Oxford for the big TPUSA event tonight. Be reporting on that tomorrow right here in the Element Wealth studio. Folks, stay safe and God bless.
Your home. A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.